Hacker Gals. My name is Kavi Senthil Kumar, and welcome to today's webinar. I am currently a first year Hacker Gal ambassador. My coding journey started when I was in grade 6, when I first got involved with Hacker Gal in middle school. Being a part of the Hacker Gal community has been an incredible journey so far. They made me recognize my passion for the STEM field, and although I'm not clear on what exactly my future profession should be, I'm hoping it is interrelated with STEM. And this is the reason why I am here at HackerGal to learn more about myself as well as have the opportunity to empower young girls. In this webinar, you will create an Lynx coding dialogue. There'll be two parts. You can pause the recording after the first part to practice your coding. When you're ready, you can come back and watch part 2. Let's get started. After watching this webinar, you'll be able to communicate information by setting up a conversation or dialogue, create character connections using dialogue with text boxes, questions, print and answer commands, and buttons. Customize coded dialogue using text formatting and adding different pages to the project. Before we start our coding, let's think about the setting or background for our dialogue. In order to create your dialogue, the first thing you will want to do is to brainstorm your setting. Setting means the elements that provide context to users about the intended place in which the dialogue takes place. Within the Lynx coding platform, the elements that can create this setting include background, text, sound, imagery such as turtles, and buttons. Let's establish your setting. Feel free to brainstorm in whichever way you feel the most comfortable and creative. For example, for the sample project, we will use the setting of a library to structure our dialogue. We need to think about an answer to this question. How will the setting inform the dialogue? We can think of it as we will decide our dialogue interactions around the topic of literacy and the joy of reading and books. For the sample project, this means creating a background reflecting different reading technologies through icon source on Flaticorn or merge and edited on Pixel RE, a free web-based graphic design platform. To learn how to locate and source Creative Commons license imagery, like this book and screen, and modify certain elements of the icon, feel free to watch YouTube tutorial number 3, Techniques and Tools for Modifying Your Photos from our Graphic Design with Pixel RE course available on the HackerGal Hub. Remember, your own dialogue will have its own setting. So add your thoughts in any way that you would like, maybe by asking your peers for ideas or using images. Once you have brainstormed your setting in whichever way that best suits you, let's head to lynxcoding.club and create a new project. If you already have a Lynx account, select the Login Register button in white text at the top right hand corner and choose the two sign-in options in the middle of the web page from left to right, either Google or Microsoft. By selecting the blue sign-in button underneath the option that best suits you. Once you have selected your best option, select the yellow button below the club's name on the left of the page that is called Create a Lynx Project, and a new project will open up in edit mode on the browser. Rename the project by selecting the light blue text that reads My Project. Rename the project by selecting the light blue text and call it in the library. You will be prompted to save your project by the red point that appears on on the top of the cloud icon to the left of the procedures pane. Select this icon to save your project. If you do not already have a Lynx account, you can create a new project by selecting the yellow button called Create a New Project on Lynx homepage. However, you will not be able to save your project if you do not have a registered account. To learn how to create a free individual learner account on Lynx, watch the video tutorial on how to set up an individual learner account on Lynx available now on HackerGal Hub Explore section. Now that you have created a new Lynx coding project, the next step to creating a dialogue consists of organizing how it will look in coded form. The first question we need to think about refers to the question that users will be prompted to respond to within the dialogue interaction using a dialog box where they may be able to input their answer via text or other elements. Then we need to think about the answers. This could mean the user's answers appear as printed text within a text box and the next dialog interaction is brought up, or other elements such as turtles, buttons are brought up to provide more options for users' interaction and personalization. We encourage you to input the questions using the language of your choosing, as you will be using the dialog to interact with your own audiences. Creating accessible web content means providing the user with many different ways to interact with the program. All types of communication systems can help us to think of ways which are better to create coded dialogue or any other computer program in general. This way, users are able to best interact with and represent themselves within programs that are built for them. Now, let's click on the plus button in the left hand area of the workspace and by selecting page on the drop down menu. We will repeat this step twice so that we end up with 3 pages. Now, if you head to the left and the right arrows of your project titles in the top hand part of your procedures pane, you will notice that the pages 1 to 3 are named in page and the number. It is important to note that their names, as we will call them, call upon these pages within procedures as we do more coding. And page 1 will be our welcome screen and will contain buttons that users will be able to use to access the interactive dialogue. Page 2 is our interaction page, and this is where users will be able to interact with the dialogue. Page 3 is the works cited page and will embed links that users can use to explore the resources used to create the sample project and provide inspiration for your own project. We can add different procedure tabs to keep the procedure responsible for different actions appearing on different pages by going to the blue drop down button underneath the project title in procedures pane and by changing the name of the first tab to welcome screen. Which will be the place where procedures responsible for redirecting users to different areas within the project will stay. Next, head back into the same drop-down menu and click Add a new tab below the Welcome Screen tab and rename it as Interactions. Repeat the step once more so that you can rename the Procedure 3 tab as Works Cited. For now, we ensure that we are on page 2 by heading to the page navigation arrow beside the project title and by toggling to page 2. Equally, let's activate the Interactions procedure tab by selecting the drop-down menu and choosing Interactions. Since we know that we want to have text as a component of the user dialog interaction, let's add a text box to our page by heading to the plus button in the left-hand procedures pane and by selecting the second option from the top, which is text. Drag the text box wherever you would like so that for the dialogue interaction to be recorded. And for this sample project, we want to simply create a background for the text to be printed. In order to format it the way you would like, on let's right click on it and first rename it as text box and make sure to click apply. And if in any point during the coding you wish to remember the names of each element within the project, a useful strategy is to head to the project tree. the graphic organizer icon, which is underneath the clip art house button. And to select the page where the element is on, in this case it is page 2, select the drop down menu button to the left of the page, then choose the element which you would like to edit by then selecting the blue edit button in the top right hand corner. This will bring up the elements dialog box. For the sample project, we will keep it visible by selecting the checkbox to the right of the word visible. To create an interactive dialog, the next step consists of adding a new turtle and turning it into a button that, when selected by the user, can activate and bring up dialog interaction. Select the plus button on the top left corner of the procedure pane and choose Turtle, which is the first option in the drop down menu. Once the turtle has been added to your page, right click on it to open its dialog box. Rename the turtle as interaction dash 1 since it will bring up the first dialog interaction. And select apply. For the sample project there has already been a clipart preloaded to the clipart pane, which can be accessed by clicking on the clipart button, the house icon in the left hand bar within the procedure pane. When creating your own buttons on digital design platforms such as Pixlr, it is recommended to layer text upon the base layer in order to indicate the purpose of the button. In order to learn more about creating custom buttons on the Pixlr platform, you can also watch the video tutorial number 5 that talks about creating accessible and functional text from the graphic design with Pixlr course on the HackerGal Hub. Also, you can access Lynx's sample buttons to use within your own project by selecting the plus button and choosing the last option from the drop-down menu that says Sample Clipart. Then you can select arrows and buttons, which is on the second option from the drop-down menu. Set the interaction once turtle by heading to the command center below the workspace and typing set shape and the number of the decide button from the clipart pane. Let's do number 14 as the shape and make sure to hit enter. Okay, we recommend that adding a text box using the instructions specified to add the first text box and writing out descriptions for what the button does. Use the text formatting tool to choose a sans serif font such as Arial and provide a contrast for your text box by applying a background. We know that we want the question to appear to our users within the text box and to provide different ways for the user to interact with the question. The first thing we can do is create a procedure that allows the text to print in a way that it is accessible to all users. Let's type a sample message in the text box. For example, let's type hello world and we can highlight the text and adjust the formatting. So we can select huge as its size and we can select Arial, which is already the default font type, and choose a color that contrasts well with the background. For example, let's do red. Head to the procedures pane and begin to write the first procedure, which will ensure that the text formatting settings of the workspace appear in each interaction. We can begin writing by first putting 2 and calling our procedure as text box settings 1. We will create a second set of text box settings in order to differentiate the user input from the program question in the next video tutorial. So stay tuned. We will call upon our text box by writing its name, text box, and then placing a comma, and then typing our first command which is set text size. This command will help us set the size of the text to the option from the text box text formatting drop down menu for a text size for whatever we place within the apostrophes. So let's put set text size large. Make sure you do not have capital, otherwise your code will not work. You can skip a line and make sure you can call upon your text box once again by writing text box, comma, and then we can use the command set text color and the number of the color from the Lynx color chart, which can be found in the help guideline in Lynx. We can place, we can maybe put the number 9 so that we can get a nice color within apostrophes. So finally, on the other new line of the code, once you press enter, you have to call text box once again, put comma, and then you can type set text font. And put Arial. Oh, oops, it seems we made a minor error here. There should be set text with the X. Remember to make sure that you do not have any spelling errors or any minor mistakes, because these simple mistakes can become problematic when you're actually creating the code, and it might not really work. So, the reason why we ensure that the font is Arial is because to ensure that the only text printed would be in a sans serif font, or one that does not really contain hooks between the letters. And also make sure to close your procedure by skipping a line and typing end. Let's now use our first dialog question that we thought of during our brainstorming. In the command center, we can type text box settings, text box underscore settings underscore 1 and enter return in order to ensure that the text prints using the text box setting format that is indicated within the procedure. In order for us to first to do that is to place to go underscore interaction underscore 1 to call our procedure as that, and then in the next line you would put text box underscore settings, because we are calling upon this procedure here, underscore 1. Once you press enter, you will type the name of our text box, which is text box, comma, then type print, and then within the apostrophes, which is only single quotation because double quotation might not work, you can place the question that you have thought of. So in this case, let's maybe put what is your favorite book? Well, certainly my favorite book is Harry Potter. So when we're actually maybe testing our project out, I'm going to write Harry Potter. Once you press enter, you put question, and then within the square brackets you will once again place the question that you placed here within the print that will show us the question, but so it can also place it within the text box. So for us to do that, we have to have the same question as we have here. So let's just copy paste the question that we put here. We don't need quotations because this is the question that is going to be asking us what is our favorite book. So there's no need for us to write quotations. And then in the next line, you have to make sure you put text box, comma, CD. And this is to ensure that when the user inputs the answer in the question dialog box, the line of text prints on the next line. So finally, let's add the next area of specialization to our product by typing print followed by input and the command answer. So you have to put as the code, you'll put text box comma cd print answer. And in the end, you always have to make sure you press and end when you're completing a procedure. So in order to activate this for your project, you have to make sure you click on the button and then go to on click and then selecting the procedure that you just did. So let's see if this works. Oh, there seems to be an error. Let's figure out what the error is. It seems there seems to be a minor error here. If you guys have figured it out, it is actually because we didn't place the correct quotations here. Since we put only one quotation, the single quotation here, we should also make sure there's a single quotation on this side. So as you can see, because there wasn't single quotations before, the text, the question was actually green. But if it is blue, that means you know that what you did was right. Let's try this again. Oh, it seems a question has popped up. So what is your favorite book? I'm going to put Harry Potter. Seem As you can see, once the question was given to us, we were also able to answer the question and it was marked down and recorded in our text box. If you remember back to the start of our webinar, we did our brainstorming. You might recall that we wanted to have at least 3 dialogue interactions appear for a user to engage with. We will thus want the interaction 1 button that we've been currently working on to disappear once the user has inputted their answer to the question, and eventually program another button to bring up the following dialogue interaction. Therefore, we can skip a line in our command center and call upon the interaction 1 by typing it, adding a comma, then typing the command ht. For us to do that, we have to first press enter after the cd print answer, and then you will place interaction underscore 1, comma, ht to hide the text so that we can hide the turtle from the user. Hiding the turtle simply means hiding it in the background of the project. But remember that we can always edit our turtle by going to the project tree icon that we previously seen before, and which is usually in the left side of a procedure pane, and by selecting page 2 and opening up the interaction 1 turtle to view its settings. So by clicking on the edit button here. Currently, it's visible, but you can also make it invisible by unchecking this box. Finally, once you have added the interaction 2 and interaction 3 buttons and created their procedures, below the last line of the code, the interaction number HT line of code, skip a line and add the name of the next dialog interaction, then ST. For us to do that, it is actually quite simple. You just write interaction underscore 1, comma, ST. This will help to show the next interaction turtle to the user and continue with the dialogue. For the sake of our project, for our webinar, we are just going to do interaction one button, but in your project, you will have at least three buttons, and this line will be very crucial in making sure that you can see your next two questions. Just before you take a break to practice your coding more, here is the secret word for the contest. Make sure you write it down so you can enter it in your post-event survey answers. Remember, there are three other secret words for you to collect: the kick, off party, closing party, and other coding webinar. The secret word for this webinar is cyber threat. This is the end of the first part of this dialogue coding webinar. If you like more time to practice the coding you've just learned, please pause the video here. Once you practice and are ready to come back, simply click play again. Welcome to part 2 of webinar 2. We are now going to customize the dialogue interactions. In this part of the webinar, you will be able to customize text and project navigation settings in order to create a sustainable user experience for your users when interacting with the dialogue. After watching this part of the webinar, you'll be able to understand ways that communication can inform programming by creating a dialogue, creating user interaction through dialogue using text boxes, questions, print, and answer commands and buttons. Customize coded dialogue using text formatting and adding different pages to the project. Now here is step 1, which we will be first formatting the printed text inputs to differentiate user text from program text. Continuing on from part 1 of the webinar, in which we created a procedure called textbox underscore settings underscore 1, to ensure that the color, size, and the font of the coded question text would print within the text bar in one particular format. Let's write a new procedure using the same commands: set text size, set text color, set text font, and add them to the interaction procedures to change the color of the font of the user input so that it stands out from the programmed questions. We will continue coding on the same procedure tab, interaction, and on page 2. Instead of retyping all of this code, we can actually just copy over the lines of code in the text box settings number 1 procedure and modify the color, font, and size inputs. So since we want a new procedure that's called, we will name it as text box settings underscore 2. So skip a line after end and you'll put 2 text box underscore settings underscore 2 and press enter to skip a line. And we are just going to copy over the from here some text size to set text font by Control C and then pasting it into and by pressing Control V, which may be different in your keyboards. Since we want to maintain the size and font for accessibility purposes, we can remove the number 9 from the middle text box, which talks about set text color, and we can place it and replace it with red. And this does not necessarily have to be just a number, but can also be a specific color such as red, violet, blue, and and Lynx has many different types of colors that you can place. And make sure that it is enclosed within apostrophes. The final step requires us to copy over the procedure name textbox underscore settings underscore 2 and to add it to after the question of line of code in each go underscore interaction procedure. Since you guys have more like several interactions, you have 3 interaction buttons, you will place it after the question with the you'll place it after this line of code which has the brackets which is and the question which is enclosed within them. This instructs Lynx to change the color of the text before printing the user's answers within the text box. So you would be placing text box underscore settings underscore 2. Because this is the name of our procedure, you will be placing it here. Picking up on the comparison of human to human communication systems and programming, we want to create ways for this coded dialogue to be interactive, sustainable, and reusable for the user. This requires creating a button that can clear the text box, buttons, and turtles and allow the user to re engage with the dialogue starting from the initial interaction. On a new line of code within the Interaction Procedure tab, create a new procedure called something to effect of to restart interaction. So go to a next new line and press to restart interaction. Once you press enter, go to the next line and then you can call your text box that you have previously created, press a comma, space, and then use the command clear text. Next, on two subsequent lines of code, hide the interaction 2 and interaction 3 turtles by calling upon them, adding a comma, and using the command ht, which is basically hide turtle. So for us to do that, you have to first put interaction dash 2 ht. In our webinar, we haven't created an interaction 2 and interaction 3 button, but however, in your project, you would currently have two interaction buttons for your project. Similarly, also put interaction 3, comma, hide turtle. Finally, on a new line of code, show the interaction 1 turtle to reinitiate the entire dialog by using the command show turtle, which is st in abbreviation. So you'll put interaction underscore 1 comma st. Make sure to type end in your next line. The final step to customizing your dialog project is to add a welcome screen that provides buttons for users to navigate to different pages within the project. So head back to page 1 by toggling on the left and right arrows in the top hand portion of the procedure pane. Feel free to be inspired to create or modify your own project imagery by heading to the sites on page 3. Also, after this webinar, you could watch video tutorial number 3, which talks about techniques and tools for modifying your photos from our graphic design with pixel art course available on the HackerGal Hub. Ensure to add a project title by adding a text box and using the text formatting settings to create legible text. So finally, add image descriptions to each image shown within your project using our text box feature once again. Navigate to the Welcome Screen Procedure tab, which is here, and select the procedures drop-down menu and code procedures to navigate to the interactions page number 2 and work cited page number 3 respectively. On a new line of code, create a new procedure called go start dialog. To do that, you'll press 2 and you'll say go underscore start dialog. and add the command page 2 on the next line so that users can navigate to the interactions page, which is on the second page. To begin the dialog interactions, add a button indicating in text that when it is selected, it will navigate to the interactions page. So for our understanding, let's create a turtle and then we can choose any one of these cliparts just so that we can see how the the button which goes to the page command works. Let's set the shape of this turtle as 25. Let's go back to the procedures pane and make sure to type end after your procedure. And once that you have added this, right click on it so that it opens up its dialog box, and from the on click drop down menu, which select the appropriate procedure that we first created. So to go to the second page, the procedure that we named was go start dialog. So we have to press go start dialog and make sure to click apply. So once you click on it, you will be going to the second page as you can see here. To go further and you want to go back to the first page, you can add a home button turtle on the interactions and works cited pages to allow the users to navigate back to the home page. So let's go to page 2 and create a new turtle and then create the set shape. As you can see here, maybe we can do set shape 25 again. Press enter so it is 25. And for us to go back to the first screen, we need to create a new procedure, which is to go back home. Press enter and press right page 1. Right click on it, and in our on click button, make sure to select go and make sure to also type end here and right click on it, and now you can see the go back home. So this is something that you must consider and make sure to make a note of, is that if you do not press end and complete your procedure, you may not be able to see the different procedure options in the on click. And make sure to click apply. So if you click on this button, it should go to page 1. As you can see, it came to page 1.